Hey, what's going on, everybody? And welcome back to the Rockman Power Hour, a weekly podcast where we talk to the biggest names in pop culture. And this week on the show, we have got two very, very rad people that were involved in the career of one of the greatest metal singers of all time, Ronnie James Dio. But before we get to that, I would like to thank our sponsors, Heartbeat Hot Sauce. I am holding up the Heartbeat Dark Side Grill Hot Sauce. This is from Thunder Bay, Ontario, and this is the Shiitake Szechuan. And if you want to ever know how hot they are, the hot meter is right on the back of the bottle. This one's comes in at a nice medium hot sauce, and this is really, really phenomenal. Small batch fermented hot sauce from Thunder Bay, Ontario. We want to thank them for being a part of the Rockman Power Hour. And if you use my promo code Rockman20, you will get 20% off your entire order of hot sauce. So check out Heartbeat Hot Sauce. I'm going to bring in Ryan Stick. There's a good chance that he's got a bottle of Heartbeat Hot Sauce with him. And if not, we're going to talk about this one. What's going on, Ryan?
Well, I did have a bottle of Heartbeat Hot Sauce with me, but that intro was so long that I ate it all. So, you know.
Just open your mouth.
You know me. I kind of just, I'm a spray in the mouth right away type dude.
Yeah. You're disgusting. Open your mouth. Here you go.
All right.
There you go. You ready? Here you go.
Are we on the TikTok?
So this one I'm very anxious to open up and try. I just got a new batch yesterday, and I'm anxious to try this one. This is a new one that I have not tried yet. So everyone's telling me that this is really good. All the people in the hot sauce forums, because there are hot sauce forums out there, and they're saying that this one's great. So check them out, Heartbeat Hot Sauce. We love them here on the Rockman Power Hour, and I know Ryan, you've gone through your first batch, and you're probably about to order your second because stuff's great. I put it on everything, man.
That's it, man. Well, you know, it's kind of, they're a sponsor, so they're like, say you like it. It's really nice not to lie.
I know.
It's really great.
I know. It's so nice to have something that you actually enjoy. On that subject, thanks again to our friends over at Studio House Designs, always hooking us up with the freshest threads. You got that Scream shirt, which is really rad, and I just got this one from the UFO bundle. This is The Fourth Kind. Have you seen that movie, The Fourth Kind?
Okay, you know what's going to happen, dude? If
you're going to watch
your
it,
bundle, as soon as this show is over,
you're
I'm going to go to my front door randomly, and it's going to be there. That's happened before.
Yeah, I know.
Oh,
it's crazy how you've been like, oh, I just got my and I remember specifically it was Hellraiser. You got your Hellraiser shirt, and you were so happy. I think it was the first
immediately after I think we did the Alex Lifeson episode.
Yeah.
In which I was shirtless.
Yeah.
Like, well, not shirtless. I was cheating. I was wearing another brand.
Actually, go back and check out the Alex Lifeson episode, and you'll see Ryan topless.
There we go.
So check out Studio House Designs. You can find them at studiohousedesigns.com. So this week on the Rockman Power Hour, we have got two people that I mentioned, Ryan, are involved with Ronnie James Dio, and that is Wendy Dio, Ronnie's wife, and the keeper and caretaker of his estate. She is the one who is carrying the Dio flag for all the fans now. She watches over everything like a hawk, and for all the right reasons, to make sure that Dio is well represented. And they're doing that right now, celebrating Dio. It would have been his 80th birthday, and celebrating the anniversary of Holy Diver. There's a beautiful 40th anniversary edition of Holy Diver that is coming out. It might even be out by this time when we put this up. And they just recently celebrated. We talked to them about a week ago, and they recently celebrated both those anniversaries at the famed, incredible Los Angeles Hangout, the Rainbow Room. And I got a chance to talk to Wendy Dio and Vinny Appice. Now, Vinny is a drummer who's been in so many bands. I mean, the guy, you name it, he's played with it. His brother, Carmine, the two of them, the Appice brothers, have drummed with almost everyone in rock and roll. And Vinny was Dio's drummer for the duration of that project. He was also in Black Sabbath with him, and he knows Dio inside and out. So we got a chance to sit down and talk to Wendy and Vinny. This is a very unique conversation. I love these kind of talks. It's kind of like when we talk to Billy Gould and Matt Wallace. It was just unique, and these stories that come out, and I think that people are going to enjoy this conversation. So check it out, our chat with Wendy Dio and Vinny Appice. All right, really, really happy to have with me today on the Rockman Power Hour One person that I've spoken to before, spent a bit of time with, and someone that I've never had the pleasure of speaking to, but I'm very excited to chat with. We have got Vinny from, of course, Vinny Appice from so many things, and Wendy Dio. Just absolute pleasure to have you both with us today to talk about Holy Diver. First off the bat, it's just so nice to see this resurgence of Dio appreciation in pop culture. I'm watching Stranger Things, and one of the main characters got his vest on, and on the back, he's got a Dio patch. And it just makes me so happy that legacy is living on through younger generations, and it doesn't go away. So how does that feel for both of you?
Amazing. It's so great. And I think Ronnie will be so happy to know that, that Holy Diver is be 40 years next year that it came out. And it's like amazing that the young kids are appreciating it, the young bands are playing the music and listening to it. I'm very, very happy about it.
Yeah. I don't think back in the day, we didn't think, well, this album will still be popular 40 years later, and today's a great day. We're going to do a celebration today for the album release, and Ronnie's birthday's coming up.
It's
80.
It's just great to see all of this, all this celebration of not only, such an important album, but such an important figure in metal and in rock and roll and just in popular culture. I mean, when you think about heavy metal and people that went out on their own and did it. And, Dio is one of the first names that I think of right off the bat. And I remember being a kid getting Holy Diver. And I was fairly young. I think it was about 11 or 12. And just something about this album cover was like, oh, this is different. This isn't the Police.
It's going to piss your parents off, right?
Especially seeing the priest drowning. I mean, it was like, whoa, what is this? But there was so much going on those records, so much social commentary, and so much of it that's relevant today.
Yeah, that album cover is incredible. I mean,
but it doesn't mean what you think it means. It's like Ronnie's philosophy on that was, so because he's got a priest outfit on, how do you know he's a good guy? And because he looks like a monster, why is he a bad guy? Yeah. And so never judge the book by its cover.
So true. So true. And a lot of people take things at face value. And I think what I've always loved about metal and the themes in metal, not only, through the lyrics, through the artwork, it was always a genre that wasn't afraid to push the boundaries and give people double entendres and other meanings and hidden meanings. And you'd really have to invest into the band to really get the payoff. Because at face value, as you both know, people would see that and right away protest, anti this, anti that.
Well, yeah, they did protest a lot of times.
Of course. So it's just nice to see the intelligence that was put in there kind of rise to the top, and people get it after all these years.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think they do. I think the young kids are a lot smarter with the technology that they have and everything. I don't know how that's going, but the only other thing about the young kids is I wish there were more new bands coming up of caliber, because who's going to be known and played again in 40 years of the new young generation?
I know. And, I work at a rock radio station in Montreal, and it's one of the things we do play new stuff. And there are some bands that'll come up where you're like, like a band like Classless Act, where I'm like, there's hope. There are some bands that are going to carry the rock and roll flame, but when are we going to get these bands that do everything? Bands like Maiden, bands like Sabbath, Dio, like bands that had a lot of layers and not just one thing where they could play well live. So I do agree. I get concerned about the next generations, how that's going to go for them.
Well, also I think that, this generation is a lot different. It's like anyone can make a record at home or whatever. It's much easier to make a record, but it's much harder to get a deal because the record labels, there's only about 3 of them left, and they don't spend any money on maturing a band and marketing anymore. It's like, if you're not happening, then next. Yeah. And because there are so many bands, it's kind of, it's easier because you have the internet and you have that, which we didn't have. But on the other hand, it's harder because there are so many bands and nobody's taking time and paying their dues, as Ronnie would call it, by, hounding the way that he did before they got somewhere.
Yeah. Go out and play and become a band,
that's what I was going to say. Like, you if anybody knows what it's like to go out there and pay the dues, Vinny, it's you. You've gone out and you've been there, and you had a very interesting seat for that whole ride. You were behind. You got to see everything.
yeah.
You got to see everything going on. You got to see the crowd. So you had probably one of the best vantage points.
I got to see Ronnie's bottom from the back. every show. and Tony and Geezer and Viv and Jimmy and
Yeah.
I told this story the other day on an interview, Vin, about you when you got stuck in the top of the pyramid.
Oh God.
So okay, let me hear the story about how you got stuck.
Well, it was the second tour, Last in Line, and we had an Egyptian set, and in the middle of the stage was a big giant pyramid, and the drums were in the pyramid, and the song starts, which was Stand Up and Shout.
Yeah.
And there was an intro tape, and then I think the pyramid started to lift up, and then Viv was supposed to start Stand Up and Shout.
And smoke.
So, and there's smoke in there. So when it lifts up, the smoke comes out. There's this big drum set, and then we start. But it didn't work. It didn't go up. And he started the song, and I'm in there playing, going, it's coughing and everything. There's all smoke in it. Back then, that was smoke that was kind of smelly, let's put it that way. And then finally, halfway through the song, the pyramid goes up, and the band's laughing. Ronnie's laughing, oh crap, what happened here. So that was a memorable moment there on tour.
It's funny. I think one of the funny things I ever heard was when Ozzy saw Spinal Tap, he thought it was a documentary.
It was definitely a documentary on Sabbath.
But I mean, it was like a documentary on what bands go through, and then you say that story, and that's something
we've been through that many times. Not trying to find the stage, definitely.
Yeah. One time in Poughkeepsie, we were ready. Okay, we're ready. All right, let's go. And we followed the tour manager, and we're in the basement of like the Civic Center, and we couldn't find a door to get to the stage. And we're going, this is Spinal Tap, man. The intro tape's playing, and we're cracking up, man. That was a great movie. Not
only is it nice to hear Holy Diver, and I was lucky enough to get an advance of the remixes that were done, and all the retooling that was done. Sounds incredible, but it's so nice to see those videos remastered. And those videos were epic, and all I kept thinking of was how fun is it to see a video like that? You don't see videos like that anymore, where there's actually there's this story, there's something going on, and and I wanted to ask you, Wendy, did Ronnie get to see the Lord of the Rings movies before he passed?
He loved those movies. He loved the books.
Yeah,
he read all those kind of books, and also science fiction. He loved I think he got a lot of his ideas from science fiction books that he read, and Lord of the Rings books and things. All that stuff. He loved it.
So, do you think? Is there ever a time now, like for example, Game of Thrones, which came out after, Vikings, The Northman? When you watch stuff like that, are you ever sitting going, "Yeah, Ronnie would love that"?
Oh yeah, he would. Yeah, absolutely. And he loves Stranger Things. I know that he would love that too.
Oh yeah.
Speaking of books, Ronnie read on the road. He would read a book every 2 days.
Wow.
So at one point on the road, he ran out of books. So he goes, "Hey, Vin, you got any books?" I go, "Yeah, I'm reading this book, but I tend to read like 2 pages and then I fall asleep and I fold a page and I read another page, fold a page." So I give him the book and he goes, "Oh my God." Every page was folded almost, and we were cracking up, and he read it 2 days. Boom.
Yep.
Books.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So he would just devour books.
Devour them. Absolutely.
So obviously there was always something going on. There was always something creating. I mean, he obviously had one of those kind of minds, which is great.
And crossword puzzles. He loved crossword puzzles.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. He said it kept his mind active.
Yeah.
There's going to be a big celebration tonight, leading into the reissue of Holy Diver at the Rainbow. Was this a place that Ronnie liked going to when he was in LA?
Oh, absolutely. He played there he played at the Whiskey and Elf, which was the same people that own the Rainbow.
Yeah.
There's many, many memories. I met Ronnie at the Rainbow. So there's so many memories for us at the Rainbow. Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow. Yeah. So, and if people...
That's where Ronnie told me he was leaving Sabbath. We were out for dinner and he goes, "Listen, I'm leaving the band and I'm going to put my own band together. Would you like to, join up, with me and do this. That's where he mentioned that.
So what a fitting place to be doing this celebration, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And the people there are so wonderful. And,
really
it's
are.
just going to be a great celebration tonight. We got too many people coming.
Yeah. Well, I was just going to say, when I moved to California in 1999 to do the music thing, and I remember getting to the Rainbow, and it was just, I was like, this is where Zeppelin hung out. It was just, the whole thing was just so magical. And every time I go back, I always have to go and have a pizza and just sit in it, because I look around and I'm like, as much as I think this place will be around forever, it won't be around forever. Things end, everything ends. And
Right.
it's just so nice to see, not only hear these stories, but to see that this is happening at a place like that, because it's like the stamp of approval.
And they have the best pizza.
They do. They really do have good pizza. I have to say, their pizza is phenomenal.
They opened one in Vegas years ago. And
oh, really?
It was weird. You go in and it looked like the one in Hollywood, but not quite. And the food wasn't that good. And then it wound up closing. It wasn't the same.
But it wasn't legal. It wasn't legitimized. It wasn't actually by Michael. That's why it was shut down.
Yeah.
Right.
It wasn't somebody else that tried to cop on the rainbow tail, and it went sideways.
Yeah, it was weird going in there, and it looked like the place, but it wasn't the place. And the food was just, pizza was terrible.
They've done that. Yeah. And they've done that they've done that with a few places. They did that with CBGBs too. They were trying to recreate them in airports and stuff. And it's just like, what are you doing?
Oh man,
don't do that.
Yeah.
Don't do that. The two videos that I got to watch before, and I was mentioning the videos again, Holy Diver, Rainbow in the Dark, they look incredible. The remastering is great. Do you think that in today's landscape, those kind of videos influenced a lot of stuff that came from, like we were talking about, all of the, the Game of Thrones, the Lord of the Rings, all these things I was chatting about visually, that look. I know that there was a lot of stuff. There was Conan and stuff like that in the 80s, but I really look at those videos. I'm like, it almost has a bit of influence on pop culture, I think.
Yeah, I think, and like Dungeons and Dragons, I think that's where, I think Dungeons and Dragons was out before the videos. I think that's where a lot of the ideas came from as well.
Right.
We stole from Dungeons and Dragons, and now the kids' Game of Thrones and stuff steal from those videos. So it goes on. It's like a wheel that goes around, and everybody takes something from somewhere.
Yeah.
So I know that there's always people clamoring that they want to hear some of this music live. Can you tell me a bit about the hologram and just a bit about how that went and what you saw successful wise?
That was an experiment that we did. It was 50-50. Some people hated it, some people loved it. It was something we did. I don't want to do it again. This time out, I'm going to take out I'm going to do real Ronnie. But I've got all this video footage from Rainbow and from Sabbath and Dio and even some Elf stuff. And I want to put that together with the live band and take that out, because I think that'll be really something the kids will really want to see. It was stuff they've never seen before as well.
Do you think the idea of having maybe multiple high profile singers coming and singing some of that stuff as tribute would be cool, or no?
Oh, cool. Of course.
Yeah, I think that would be great. Just trying to round up lead singers, that's a whole nother feat.
And drummers.
And drummers. Well, lead singers are a little bit, we know about lead singers. So.
Yeah, well, and that's the thing, there's not many guys that could, or girls that can do what Dio did. What he did was magic. And I think it was because he had such an influence from music that was outside of rock. Like when some people say, who are the greatest singers in the world? You look at, a lot of times you look at opera singers or classical singers. And from what I read and what I've seen, Ronnie was a big fan of those kind of singers, right?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Pavarotti was one of his idols.
Really?
And, yeah, absolutely. And he has a signed photo of Pavarotti.
Mm-hmm.
So he was very excited about that. But that's another thing. When I take the live band out, I never take one singer, because I always think one, then they don't try to copy Ronnie. I take singers that are different, but always two singers. Because, nobody's going to copy Ronnie or be Ronnie, but they can do Ronnie's songs. And I love it that, all these tribute bands are doing Ronnie's songs. I think it's absolutely great. I saw a fantastic one the other day that they sent me from Argentina, and it was like about 20 or 30 girls doing We Rock, and it's amazing. It was so much fun. I want to put it on our site.
Oh, really?
It was
wow.
fun. Yeah, it's really cool. You got to see it. You're going to love it, Vin.
Wow, I want to see that. And you know what? Ronnie never warmed up before the show.
Yeah, like
I don't get the show.
I've heard that before. I don't get that.
I'd walk into his room and 5 minutes before, and he's having maybe a glass of wine with some friends there. And then they come in and go, okay, we got to go. And we'd walk on stage and go into Mob Rules of all songs,
wow.
It's really high up there. And no, he didn't warm up ever. Crazy.
That comes from his trumpet playing from years and years of a proper breathing from the stomach and singing from the stomach and not from the throat, which a lot of singers sing from the throat and ruin their voices.
Yeah.
Vinny, you've had a chance to play with a lot of really, really cool people. And I don't want to throw anyone under the bus, but he's got to be the best singer you've ever had the chance of being.
Yeah. I mean,
like hands down, right?
Hands down. I mean, that's why at the Rainbow that night, it's like, well, though I'd stay with Sabbath, or now I got a chance to do something from scratch with greatest singer in rock.
Yeah.
That's not going to lose. So it was easy to take
Dave
a risk.
Dave Grohl just wrote an article about Vin and saying what an amazing drummer Vinny was, and really is. He's amazing. He's
I never saw that
drum
before.
monster. You never saw that? No, I saw it. I was like, wow, this is great. But it's true. It's very true.
I
you are the drum monster.
You really, really are. You really are an incredible drummer. And I was lucky enough to get to see you. Like I mentioned, I saw you when you were playing with Rex from Pantera, and when you guys had that, the Kill Devil Hill project. And that was just to get to see you in a small club, and being younger and having to go, see in an arena was just like, fuck, man, to see, excuse my language, but to see you in a small room like that was just, it was crazy. It was crazy.
Yeah. Well, I got to play with, the legends, I got to play with Sabbath, and was inspired me, and then do this thing with Ronnie where we inspired each other. He hit some notes live and I go, oh yeah, and I'd go crazy. And then he'd hear me and he'd go, go for it again.
I think the last round of Sabbath, or Heaven and Hell as it was called then, was just so amazing. I'm so glad Ronnie got to do that before he passed. But that was like, everybody was like unbelievable on their toes. I mean, Tony was like unbelievable, and Geezer and Vinny and Ronnie, and they were all like trying to friendly outdo each other. It was amazing.
I want to ask you about this because it's always been something that I've worried about, because I'm a big collector. I love the idea of having original stuff if you can get it. Those original paintings of those album covers, who has them? Do you know? You have them. So I have. I love the way
I
you
have
said
the
that.
original Holy Diver hanging behind my desk, and I would never part with it unless it would go into a museum.
Yeah, I'm not. Don't worry, I'm not putting a bid in. I probably wouldn't be able to get anywhere close. But I'm just curious. Are they oils?
Yes.
Really? Mm-hmm. Wow. And how big are they?
Oh, the Holy Diver one is I would say about must be about 5 foot by 3 foot.
Wow. Oh, it's
very big. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Have you seen it, Ben?
No, probably along the way, but
I'm sure you've seen it. Yeah.
And the office and stuff. But
in the office,
this one here's a printing. My friend has a printing shop down here. This is pretty big. That's about 2.5 feet by 2.5 feet.
Yeah. I mean, iconic.
Beautiful. Came out great.
So who was the painter?
Gene Hunter.
Okay.
And how it came about was Ronnie and I had this idea we wanted, but neither one of us could draw anything, not even a stick figure. So we had this idea and we told him about it. And just recently we found out that he went with a photographer, Gene Kirkland, and they went down to Malibu, and he dressed up as a priest and put chains all around him and went in the water and told Gene, take photos, take photos. Well, he almost drowned while he was doing it because the chains knocked him down. But they got the photos and they came back and showed us the photos and said, is this the idea you want with a monster behind it? And we said, yeah, that's exactly what we want.
Wow. So were you able to source any of that stuff, like those original photos, any of that, like have any of that stuff resurfaced over the years? That would be great stuff to see.
It's in the documentary.
Okay. Good. Yeah, because I mean,
which will be coming out in the fall sometime. I'll let you know exact dates, but I know it's coming out in the fall.
We'll have to talk more again when that happens, because
absolutely.
And again, it goes back to the same thing I said, when we first got on. So many layers to this era of metal and this era of music that you can talk about. It's not just the music; it was the live performances, it was the artwork, And I find now when I'm scrolling through my phone and I'm streaming music, and I still have a lot of vinyl and stuff, but when an album cover is this big, it just doesn't have the same.
No,
it's not the same. So to see something like this being reissued on vinyl, it must be good to get it again, right? To get the vinyl.
Oh, Ronnie would have loved that, because he hated it because he always loved to see the artwork on the album covers. He said he bought album covers because of the artwork.
Sure.
And then when it came to like cassettes and CDs, it was like so minuscule that it was like almost lost.
Too small.
Yeah. And try rolling a joint on a CD cover. Not that I smoke anymore, but I remember vinyls were always better for that. It had a good radius. For
exactly.
That.
I remember.
I want to thank you so much both for taking the time today. It was a pleasure. Good luck with the event tonight. The reissue drops for everyone to hear on Friday. I love everything about the reissue. I love the extras. I love all of it. And is there a plan to continue with the catalog?
Yes, I think Rhino wants to put out Last in Line in another year or so. And, we're not going to put it out right away, obviously, but because a lot of thought, and I have to go into the vault and find different things and stuff. But there is a lot more stuff in the vault. So, because this one we found out outtakes, which were wonderful. First of all, I was like, no, but then we put the outtakes there. Then we found the live show in Fresno and other little tidbits on the B-sides of singles. And so I have to go in and find all that stuff again. But I know Rhino does have plans to put a Last in Line out with all the goodies that go along.
Nice.
And you know what I found in my boxes? I found a little flyer for the first gig Dio did at Antioch, California.
Oh, Antioch, yeah.
I'll take a scan of it. I'll send it to you. It's really funny. It's the first gig. Tickets were like $10 or $12.
Yeah, exactly. And we all thought, what the hell is this? Who's going to come see us? This looks like cow shed or something. And it was packed. 3,000
people.
So that must have been the biggest, the biggest fear at the beginning is like, is this going to work?
Well, we didn't really know. We had so many endings, and Ronnie liked to put songs together and medleys and stuff. So we rehearse, but it's a lot to remember. So we thought, well, this is a good place to hash it out.
Yeah.
Maybe to be 500 people here, but we get there. We look out and go, hey, Ron, packed. 3,000 people. Absolutely. So the endings were very long. We're going, no, not yet. Nobody knew what to do. And then we've got to extend this. Yeah. Yeah. Be safe.
Again, thank you. This is a real pleasure to be on this chat, and continued success with this. And thank you for paying such attention to this stuff. This stuff is very important, and it's important for people to discover and for kids to hear, because this is some of the best music, and it needs to live on. So I'm glad that you're both carrying the torch for that. It's great.
And thank you for your support, because we couldn't do it without people like you. We couldn't do it. So we need you. Thank you so much.
That support comes from the heart. I mean it. I'm a lifelong metal fan.
All right. See you tonight, Wen. I got to
take care.
On
see you
another
later.
interview. Yeah.
Thank you, guys.
See you tonight. See you, Jace.
Bye.
All the best, guys. Bye.
Bye.
You know what? I always wondered the whole Spinal Tap thing. I love the fact you guys brought that up.
Yeah.
Because all those experiences must have come from somewhere. And the very idea that he was in his pyramid stuck in there coughing on smoke. What a great visual.
Oh, man.
I absolutely love that.
I never got to see, actually, that's a lie. I did get to see Heaven and Hell when Dio was, and Heaven and Hell was, the Heaven and Hell thing, right? Of course. Black Sabbath was allowed to be Black Sabbath, of course, because Black Sabbath, once Ozzy was back in the fold, it was Black Sabbath, and Ozzy was Black Sabbath. But they continued Heaven and Hell, which I thought was really cool, because that was the Dio version of Sabbath, which is, really, really good. I mean, Mob Rules and
heavy, so fast, so heavy.
So good.
It's crazy.
Yeah. So, as much as, I absolutely love Ozzy. I'm an Ozzy fan through and through. Love the camp. Everyone in the Osborne camp, they're just really nice humans. But I love Dio Sabbath. It's great. And if you're a fan of metal, like, it's kind of hard not to like Sabbath with Dio singing. It's just kind of one of those weird things where, people want you to pick sides. And I just don't. I mean, I obviously I'm a Sabbath guy with Ozzy, but man, Sabbath with Dio was fucking phenomenal. So the Heaven and Hell stuff is really, really good.
I gotta give a big shout out to one of my buddies, my Mind Blender Media buddy, Marco Piccaro, who literally was always telling me, even when we were teenagers, like, I'm like, Black Sabbath, Ozzy Osbourne. He's like, no, stupid, Dio too. And it's always kind of been part of that. But Dio's got this amazing career where he was just, rainbow solo artist, all of it. And I got to see Dio a few times actually. And the first time was him playing right after Motorhead and right before Iron Maiden. It was like the lineup from heaven. Like, seriously, if you're going to see any metal show, see Motorhead for the first time, see Dio for the first time, see Iron Maiden for the first time, all in one night. I didn't know what to do with my senses. All three of those shows individually, it would have been fine, but no, it was three at once, and I left there stuffed.
Yeah,
from enjoyment.
Changes your life.
And cheese.
All right. Well, it was a lot of fun to do to chat with both of them, and check out the 40th anniversary of Holy Diver. It is available, I believe, now everywhere that you can purchase records on vinyl and on CD. Big thanks to our sponsors, Heartbeat Hot Sauce. Check them out, heartbeathotsauce.com. And if you use my promo code Rockman20, you will get 20% off your entire hot sauce order. So go check them out of Thunder Bay, Ontario, heartbeathotsauce.com. Thanks to Studio House Designs for always keeping me and Ryan looking fresh. Thanks to our producer, Julia Kajerski, and thanks to all of you. We'll see you next time on the Rockman Power Hour. And don't forget to like and subscribe and tell your friends about us so we can keep doing this.
Please like us.
We need to be liked.